The story starts when Errol's 10th birthday finally arrives, and his family eagerly celebrates because this is the day his future will be decided. As the story introduces Errol, it explains that every child in this world receives the goddess's blessing upon turning 10 years old. That blessing determines the class they will possess and the abilities they will gain for the rest of their lives. Not long afterward, the villagers gather inside a church where the class assignment ceremony takes place. Before Errol's name is called, his older sister Saire reassures him that there is nothing to be nervous about. With parents as extraordinary as his, she is convinced he will inherit an exceptional class. When Errol finally steps forward, the entire crowd focuses their attention on him. His mother, Farah, is celebrated as the legendary sword princess, while his father, Leon, is renowned as the kingdom's archmage. Because of their reputation, everyone expects Errol to receive an incredible blessing. Instead, the ceremony delivers an unbelievable result. Errol is granted neither a class nor any special ability. Later that day, the family returns home, assuming Errol must be heartbroken after the shocking outcome. They try their best to comfort him, but instead of feeling defeated, Errol quietly continues practicing his swordsmanship. He assures everyone that he is perfectly fine. Having trained under Farah ever since he was young, he has developed impressive sword skills, despite lacking the swordsman class. His positive attitude fills his family with pride, although Errol becomes slightly embarrassed by their praise and decides to continue training outside at the sword grounds. When he reaches the training area, Errol notices two boys who recently awakened as swordsmen. Curious, they ask why someone without a class would bother coming there. Errol casually answers that he simply wants to train like everyone else. As they demonstrate the basic fencing skill, the first technique every swordsman learns, Errol challenges one of them to a duel. The boy immediately laughs, convinced Errol has no chance of matching someone with a proper class. Nevertheless, Errol's unwavering confidence convinces him to accept. At this point, the story reveals another important rule of the world. Every person is also born with divine protection, a blessing that forms an invisible shield around the body and absorbs incoming damage. Once that protection is pushed beyond its limit, it shatters and inflicts tremendous pain on its owner. Growing annoyed by Errol's attitude, one of the boys charges straight at him. Errol calmly parries every attack without difficulty. The second boy quickly joins the fight, hoping to overwhelm him with numbers, but years of relentless training allow Errol to dominate both opponents with ease. Embarrassed by their defeat, the two boys realize they completely underestimated him. Their loss soon attracts the attention of a red-haired boy, who arrogantly warns Errol not to become full of himself after beating a pair of weak opponents. The story reveals that he is the son of one of the guards who frequently works alongside Errol's mother during demon hunting missions. As Errol watches him, he cannot help but think the boy inherited none of his father's character. The red-haired boy admits that he has always hated hearing people call Farah the greatest swordswoman alive. Unable to accept her fame, he decides to challenge Errol instead, declaring that defeating him will prove his own family is superior. His words make it clear that jealousy is the real reason behind the confrontation. Before their duel begins, the boy proudly boasts that he has spent over a year training as a swordsman. Errol calmly answers that he has been receiving personal training from his mother during that same period. As soon as the battle starts, both exchange several powerful strikes. While observing his opponent, Errol notices that his anger is making his movements increasingly reckless. Believing victory is within reach, Errol prepares a finishing blow. At the last second, however, the red-haired boy activates a special skill that unleashes 2 consecutive slashes in a single motion, catching Errol by surprise. Feeling victorious, the boy mocks Errol, insisting that someone without a class could never hope to understand such techniques. Errol simply responds that they will soon discover the truth. The next morning, Errol is awakened by Astaire, whose affection for him comes from her sincere wish to see him happy. After everyone finishes breakfast, Errol heads out once again while Sire continues worrying about his future. Astaire quietly dreams of becoming strong enough to create a world where Errol will never again be judged for lacking a class. Later, she confides in their mother, explaining that Errol has been returning home late every evening ever since the day of the class ceremony. Rather than sharing her daughter's concern, Farah leads Astaire into another room and opens a chest packed with broken swords. She explains that Errol has been pushing himself every single day by sparring against other children, breaking countless practice swords along the way. Hearing this makes Astaire smile, realizing that Errol continues to grow stronger despite possessing no class at all. The story then follows Errol as he trains alone beneath a large tree. After countless repetitions, he finally succeeds in mastering the double slash technique. Looking back on his previous fight, he realizes that every injury he suffered helped him refine his movements. His training is suddenly interrupted when a goblin sneaks up from behind. Without even turning nervous, RL reacts instantly and cuts the monster down with a single swing. Soon after, a terrifying roar echoes across the forest. RL's first instinct is to notify the royal guard, but the desperate cries of a child reach his ears before he can leave. Knowing there is no time to waste, he rushes toward the sound instead. When he arrives, he finds the same red-haired boy from earlier lying on the ground with severe injuries, while an evolved goblin prepares to finish him off. Without hesitation, RL releases his newly mastered double slash, now empowered with magic, and kills the monster in a single decisive attack. Seeing that the boy's healing potion has already been destroyed and that his condition continues to worsen, RL immediately realizes he must find another way to save him. Errol immediately hands over his own healing potion to the injured boy. The medicine works almost instantly, allowing him to recover. Once he catches his breath, the boy quickly asks about the technique RL used to defeat the evolved goblin. RL casually answers that it was simply his version of double slash. The response only irritates the boy, who insists that mastering such a technique is impossible without possessing the swordsman class. Surprisingly, Errol agrees with him, but explains that he already knew that from the beginning, which is why he devoted countless days to practicing it. According to RL, anyone who develops enough speed and physical strength can eventually perform the technique without relying on a class. RL then sincerely thanks the boy, admitting that their previous duel became the reason he was able to master double slash. Hearing that leaves the boy completely speechless. He cannot understand how someone with no class managed to accomplish something that even talented swordsmen struggle to achieve. Before leaving, RL smiles and tells him that he hates accepting defeat, so the next time they cross swords, he expects the boy to fight with everything he has. Without wasting another second, the boy eagerly demands a rematch. The two immediately draw their swords and activate double slash at the exact same moment. As their blades collide, RL's technique completely overpowers his opponent's, allowing his strike to connect cleanly. Confused by what just happened, the boy cannot understand how his own attack was effortlessly neutralized. Remaining calm, RL explains that he did not rely on only 2 slashes. Instead, he added a third strike during the exchange. The boy quickly argues that double slash is limited to 2 attacks, but Errol points out the crucial difference between them. Since he does not possess the swordsman class, he is not restricted by the skill's built-in limitations. Everything he performs comes purely from his own speed and physical ability. The explanation only fuels the boy's frustration, because RL's self-created version has already surpassed the original technique. Refusing to accept defeat, he challenges RL once more, but the result is exactly the same. RL's hidden third slash breaks through his defense yet again. Completely stunned, the boy asks whether RL had been holding back during their previous fight. RL simply replies that he spent a great deal of time carefully analyzing his opponent's technique before creating his own improved version. After delivering those final words, he quietly walks away, leaving the boy standing there in complete disbelief. Several days pass before the story returns to RL spending time with his family. During their conversation, someone brings up Evan's son, the very same boy RL recently defeated. Farah explains that he has already departed for Brescia, a famous city known throughout the kingdom as the City of Swords. She also reveals that she herself once belonged to one of the guilds there. Hearing that immediately sparks Errol's interest. He decides that he also wants to travel to Brescia and discover just how far he can push his abilities despite having no class. Years later, a carriage carrying several travelers approaches Brescia when it is suddenly ambushed by a large group of orcs led by a powerful orc king. The frightened driver begs the passengers to help defend the carriage, but instead of fighting, every one of them panics and runs away. At that moment, a mysterious young man wearing a hood calmly steps forward. With incredible swordsmanship, he cuts through the orcs one after another. The stunned witnesses recognize that the techniques he is using are legendary sword arts said to belong only to the Sword Princess herself. After effortlessly slaying the Orc King, the young man removes his hood, revealing that he is none other than RL. Once the battle is over, RL returns to the carriage and tells the driver that they should continue toward Brescia because he still hopes to improve as a swordsman. The driver laughs and tells him there is hardly anything left for him to learn, since his swordsmanship already rivals that of elite warriors. Moments later, the man is left completely astonished after discovering that Errol possesses no class whatsoever. The story briefly flashes back to 5 years earlier, when RL was still training under Farah's guidance. Watching him perfectly execute double slash for the first time fills her with overwhelming pride, even bringing tears to her eyes. Convinced that her son is a true genius, she listens as Errol explains that he has the ability to reproduce techniques after seeing them only once. Because of that talent, he asks her to teach him every sword technique she knows. He also shares his dream of traveling to Brescia someday to continue expanding his skills. The story then returns to the present as the carriage finally reaches Brescia. While entering the city, RL immediately notices countless high-ranking swordsmen walking through the streets. During their conversation, he also learns that the carriage driver is actually an accomplished holy knight. Curious, Errol asks why someone with such impressive abilities chooses to work as a carriage driver. The man simply answers that constantly fighting becomes tiring, so he occasionally takes transportation jobs while traveling. Before they part ways, he advises Arel to join one of Brescia's guilds, explaining that membership is required for anyone who wishes to participate in the city's prestigious combat tournaments. Determined to challenge stronger opponents, Arel parts ways with the carriage driver and steps into the bustling streets of Brescia. As he explores the city, he notices members of various guilds recruiting new applicants. While looking around, a young woman suddenly rushes straight toward him. Arel casually sidesteps, causing her to lose her balance and fall. The girl introduces herself as Lilia and immediately tries to recruit him into her guild. Errol politely declines, explaining that he is in no hurry to join any guild. He then points out that only a guild struggling to find members would approach an unknown newcomer like him. Refusing to give up, Lilia sweetens the offer by promising to take him on a date if he agrees to join. Unfortunately for her, Arel shows no interest whatsoever, and bluntly turns her down. The rejection leaves Lilia completely stunned, while Arel quietly remarks to himself that her behavior reminds him a lot of his older sister. Instead, Arel asks her a different question. He wants to know which guild is considered the strongest in Brescia. After thinking for a moment, Lilia tells him about Black Blade, a prestigious guild famous for having 8 rank swordsmen among its members. Interested in testing himself against the best, Arel immediately heads there. Upon arriving, one of the guild's knights welcomes him and explains that every applicant must first pass an entrance examination. However, once Arel reaches the reception desk, the receptionist informs him that only people who possess a class are eligible to take the test. She apologetically wishes him good luck, adding that no respectable guild would willingly accept someone without a class. After spending hours visiting guild after guild, Errol receives nothing but rejection everywhere he goes. Sitting alone to gather his thoughts, he suddenly remembers the recommendation letter his mother gave him before he left home. It quickly becomes clear that Farah had already anticipated this exact situation. Before RL can continue, Lilia catches up to him once again and desperately begs him to reconsider. She admits that her guild is suffering from a severe lack of members and even kneels before him in desperation. Even so, RL remains firm and quietly walks away. Following the address written in Farah's letter, RL eventually arrives at the destination. Lilia, who has secretly followed him the entire time, explains that the guild standing before them was once among the strongest in all of Brescia. Unfortunately, its reputation gradually declined over the years, forcing her to recruit anyone she could in hopes of restoring its former glory. She also reveals that the guild's master is the legendary Double Sword King. Hearing those words, Arel immediately recalls his mother's stories and realizes that this is actually the very guild where Farah once belonged. As Arel enters the guild hall, he is welcomed by its leader Rod, the Sword King. To Errol's surprise, Rod is completely drunk and tells him not to waste his future by joining a guild that is already falling apart. The story also reveals that Rod is Lilia's father. According to Lilia, he was once regarded as one of Brescia's greatest swordsmen, but after losing one of his arms, his life, and the guild both fell into decline. Despite everything he hears, Arel signs the membership contract without hesitation and officially becomes part of the guild. Lilia's excitement quickly disappears when she notices that Errol's registration lists no class at all. She had at least hoped he possessed the basic swordsman class. At that moment, another member named Rina arrives at the guild. Overwhelmed with disappointment, Lilia hugs her while tearfully complaining that the one recruit she finally managed to find turned out to have no class. As she looks at Arel, Rina suddenly recognizes him and reveals that they trained together 5 years earlier. After thinking for a moment, Arel confidently says that there is no way he could have forgotten someone as beautiful as Rina, causing her face to turn bright red. He then admits that the only person he remembers is a young boy with the same hair color. That unexpected comment surprises everyone because they finally realize that Rina had actually been a girl the entire time. Rina laughs and explains that the only major change is that she has grown her hair out over the years. Errol teasingly replies that her hair is not the only thing that has grown, his eyes drifting toward her noticeably larger chest. Before the conversation becomes even more awkward, Lilia quickly cuts them off and asks whether Arel is really the same person who defeated Rina years ago. Rina proudly confirms it before declaring that she has trained relentlessly for the past 5 years, and refuses to lose again. She immediately challenges Arel to a rematch and leads him to the guild's underground training grounds. The duel begins the moment they step onto the training field. The two exchange blows at incredible speed, and Rina successfully lands the first hit. She explains that her brute strength ability grants her overwhelming physical power. On top of that, her sword weighs 5 times more than an ordinary blade, making it nearly impossible to overpower her through brute force alone. If Arel wants to win, he will need to rely on skill rather than strength. As the fight continues, Rina launches another heavy attack, convinced she has cornered him this time. To her complete surprise, Arel suddenly vanishes from sight. Before she can react, he appears behind her and delivers a clean strike across her back. Completely confused, Rina cannot understand how he escaped her attack so effortlessly. Arel calmly reveals that the technique he used is called shadow afterimage, allowing him to leave behind an illusion while slipping past his opponent's attack. Rina is left in shock because the technique Arel used is considered a supreme ability among swordsmen. Frustrated, she charges at him once again. After dodging several attacks, Arel uses his shadow afterimage technique again and strikes her from behind. However, her divine protection remains completely intact. Rina explains that powerful swordsmen possess the Guts ability, making normal slashing attacks insufficient to hurt them. Rina attacks again, and Errol realizes that if that is the case, he will need to use a different technique. He immediately uses a skill called opt-in counter, a counterattack technique he learned from his mother. With a single strike, he defeats Rina. She is deeply disappointed because she trained for such a long time, only to lose to Arel once again. Arel tells her that she has indeed become much stronger, but he has also trained just as hard. At that moment, Lilia comes downstairs to comfort Rina, who begins crying before running away after her defeat. A little later, Lilia officially welcomes Errol to the guild. Errol then asks why she said that the guild was already finished. Lilia explains that they are buried in debt, and since they do not have enough money to repay it, they plan to compete in a tower challenge that offers a reward large enough to cover everything. She also explains that they only needed one more member to meet the participation requirement. Lilia then tells Errol that Rina has remained loyal to the guild ever since she was a child, because she had been rejected by many other guilds, and it was Rod who accepted her. Since then, she has never left the guild. Finally, Lilia tells Arel that the 3 of them will have to fight against 5 of Brezgia's strongest members. Arel becomes extremely excited because battling the city's strongest fighters was the very reason he came to Brezgia. While the 3 of them continue talking, Rod quietly watches them from behind a door. The next morning, Arel wakes up and meets the 2 girls. It is obvious that Rina is still upset with him. However, Lilia tells them that she has important news. Since Dragonfang Guild now officially has 3 members, they finally meet the minimum requirement to compete in the guild tournament that will be held that weekend. Lilia then explains that the guild battles are fought one-on-one. Whichever guild loses all of its members first is eliminated. She also mentions that both she and Rina are rank B. Since Arel managed to defeat Rina, she believes that he is probably rank B as well. After that, Lilia says she is going to check the tournament bracket and will return soon. Rina tells Arel that she is leaving because she is going to train. Suddenly, Arel stands up and grabs her hands. Rina immediately becomes flustered, but Arel simply asks her to hit him with her sword because he wants to learn her Guts ability. Rina's imagination starts running wild for a moment, but Arel quickly explains that he only wants to develop the skill. Rina disagrees, saying that abilities cannot be developed because they are blessings given by the goddess. However, Arel points out that if that were true, then how was he able to learn double slash and shadow afterimage? Hearing that, Rina realizes he has a point. The 2 head to the training grounds, where Rina is shocked to see Arel lifting her heavy sword without any difficulty. At that moment, she realizes how much he has trained to develop all of his techniques, so she finally agrees to help him. However, she warns him that she will not hold back and will attack with everything she has. Arel smiles and says that he is glad someone as kind as her was born in the same hometown as him, making Rina blush once again. Meanwhile, Lilia rushes over to them in a panic and announces that their first opponent will be the Black Blade Guild. She knows the battle will be extremely difficult because Black Blade has 8 rank A members, so they will have to work together as a true team if they want even the slightest chance of winning. At the same time, Arel is lying on the ground after Rina struck him with her sword. A few days later, the group arrives at a coliseum because the day of the tournament has finally come. Arel asks the girls if people are allowed to bet on the matches. Rina says yes, and Lilia suddenly becomes extremely excited. She reveals that she has bet everything they own because the odds for their guild are incredibly high. Since no one believes they can win, she excitedly says that if they somehow manage to win, they will earn a fortune from the bets. Just then, they are interrupted by a man named Georgie. Rina explains that he is the guild master of Black Blade. Georgie proudly admits that he used his influence to arrange for their 2 guilds to face each other. He did it because he wants to humiliate them, since Lilia's guild used to be one of the most famous in Brezhia. Finally, he mockingly tells them that they can become rich if they somehow manage to defeat his rank A members. A little while later, it is finally Arel's group's turn to fight. Arel is extremely excited while the 2 girls are much more nervous than he is. Moments later, the announcer introduces the first participants of the match, and the first member to step onto the arena is Gio. The first opponent is Gio, and he is matched against Arel. Everyone in the arena is shocked when the announcer reveals that Arel has neither a rank nor a class. As soon as the match begins, Gio thrusts his sword straight toward Arel's stomach with great force, or at least that is what he believes. Arel immediately uses his shadow after-image technique, creating at least 5 copies of himself, leaving Gio completely confused and nervous. Before Gio can react, Arel defeats him with a single strike. The entire audience is left speechless because Arel easily defeated a rank A fighter despite having no class. Soon afterward, Arel defeats another member of the guild as well. He then faces a 4th opponent who fights with a shield. Arel notices that this opponent has much greater endurance, but he immediately uses a technique he copied from one of his previous opponents and delivers a powerful kick that knocks the shield away. The man cannot believe that Arel is copying the techniques of every fighter he faces. Without wasting any time, Arel picks up the fallen shield and uses the very same technique his opponent had used, defeating him with ease. The entire crowd is amazed because Arel has defeated several rank A fighters without taking a single hit. The announcer then draws everyone's attention to the fact that Arel truly has no class. She confirms his status by using a special sphere, proving that he is indeed completely unranked. After seeing the proof, the audience becomes even more excited. Meanwhile, the girls talk about how unbelievably strong Arel is. Lilia complains that he should have told her how powerful he really was because she would have pawned all of her father's treasures and bet everything on him. However, Rina says she has no idea what kind of training Arel went through over the past few years. She then declares that she has no intention of letting Arel leave the guild and is willing to do whatever it takes to keep him there, even if she has to marry him. Just then, the final opponent steps into the arena. He is a master swordsman named Masamune. Arel immediately notices his katana, and Rina explains that Masamune is a high-ranking samurai. Both girls become nervous because they never expected Black Blade to have someone so powerful among its members. The battle begins, and Arel cannot figure out the best way to attack Masamune. He carefully moves closer, thinking that he will react once he enters Masamune's attack range. Suddenly, Masamune launches an attack, but the target turns out to be nothing more than a shadow clone, leaving him completely shocked because he was certain it was the real Arel. Arel instantly appears behind Masamune and tells him that he is the fastest opponent he has faced in the tournament so far. However, Arel also says that he has already fought against his mother, who is much faster than Masamune. Right after that, Arel unleashes a multiple thrust technique that strikes Masamune directly. Everyone is left in shock because multiple thrust is a supreme technique that belongs to the Sword Princess. With that single attack, Arel wins the match completely. The audience becomes furious because many of them had bet against Arel. After the match, Arel returns to the girls, but he instinctively dodges Lilia when she tries to hug him. He apologizes, explaining that he has developed the habit of avoiding people who suddenly jump at him. Even so, Lilia thanks him because the guild has been saved thanks to the prize money and betting profits they earned. Meanwhile, Rina also wants to hug Arel, but she becomes too embarrassed to do it. Arel jokingly tells her that she can hug him anytime, but she has to take off her armor first. As the group continues talking, Georgie watches them from a distance, furious over Arel's victory. Later that night, the guild celebrates their success. Lilia once again asks Arel to marry her, saying that since she is older, she can satisfy all of a young man's desires. However, Arel turns her down and says that he prefers someone like Rina instead. Rina immediately becomes flustered and tells him not to make up excuses just to reject Lilia. Arel confidently replies that he is telling the truth and genuinely thinks Rina is charming. Rina quietly answers that she is used to people saying she looks like a boy because all she ever thinks about is practicing with the sword. Seeing the opportunity, Lilia decides to make her friend jealous by moving closer to Arel and deliberately touching him. Lilia's actions immediately make Rina jealous, and she angrily tells them that what they are doing is inappropriate and completely shameless. However, both girls are left speechless when Arel says that he would actually prefer to get a massage from Rina instead. A little later, Rina is repeatedly hitting Arel with her sword as he continues training to learn her guts ability. Arel thanks her because he trusts her enough to let her attack him like that. Just then, Rod arrives and jokingly asks if they are taking out their frustration after losing. However, he is shocked when he learns from his daughter that they defeated the entire Blackblade Guild despite being heavily outmatched. Lilia happily tells him that, thanks to their victory, the guild will finally be able to cover all of its expenses for a while. Even so, Rod tells her not to get too optimistic, because if Arel is really as strong as she says, another guild will probably recruit him sooner or later. Arel immediately defends Lilia, saying that although she can be a little foolish at times, she never gives up or abandons everything like some people do. Clearly referring to Rod, he then tells Rod that as long as he still has one arm, he can continue fighting. Rod becomes angry and says that Arel knows nothing about being a dual swordsman because losing an arm also meant losing many of his abilities. Arel calmly replies that he does not even have any class abilities to begin with, yet he still keeps fighting. Hearing those words, Rod lets go of Arel and silently walks away. Arel then tells Lilia that even though Rod lost many of his abilities, he is still incredibly strong. Lilia thanks Arel and feels that his words have truly reached her father's heart. Meanwhile, Arel becomes excited because he hopes Rod will fight again someday, as he wants to learn more techniques from a dual swordsman. Later, the girls recommend visiting a dungeon. Since Arel has no idea what a dungeon is, they explain that it is a place filled with monsters and deadly traps. Arel immediately becomes interested and decides that he wants to go. Rina adds that gaining combat experience there will also help him qualify for the Sword God Cup. She explains how the competition works, and Lilia suddenly takes out a document, saying that Arel only needs to sign it to register. However, Arel tears the paper apart after realizing that it is actually a marriage certificate. Staying true to himself, he immediately puts Lilia in a submission hold. In another scene, several people secretly watch the group. Knowing that Arel and the others are heading to the dungeon, they laugh maliciously and hope that a little accident happens to them. The next morning, Arel is awakened by Lilia, who tries to seduce him in a very provocative way. However, Arel refuses and ends up tying her to the bed instead. He then goes to Rina's room and asks her to keep Lilia under control because she is far too perverted. However, he finds Rina fast asleep, talking in her sleep. Arel thinks she looks very cute like that, and since she keeps mumbling about her father, he also thinks she is still a spoiled child. Sometime later, the group arrives at the dungeon. Arel had imagined it would simply be a cave or something similar. They also notice many knights gathered there because everyone wants to gain experience before the Sword God Cup. The group is then told that adventurers are teleported to different floors depending on the highest level they have physically reached before. Since both girls have already gone beyond floor 10, Arel has to start from the first floor. Lilia offers to accompany him, but Arel insists that all three of them should stay together because he does not want to be alone with someone as perverted as Lilia. Not long afterward, while exploring the dungeon, the group suddenly hears someone screaming. Moments later, a badly injured man appears and says that he fell into a trap inside one of the chambers. He explains that his companions are still trapped inside and begs Arel's group to help them. Always thinking like a businesswoman, Lilia says they will only help if he pays them because everyone is responsible for themselves inside the dungeon. The man agrees and pays them. However, Aurel immediately finds it suspicious that the man is covered in blood. Lilia tells him that not everyone can endure injuries the way Aurel can, but as they continue following the man, Aurel realizes that the wounds are completely fake. When Aurel bled like that in the past, he could barely move, so he knows that something is waiting for them ahead. Instead of worrying, he simply thinks it will be fun. Eventually, they arrive at a chamber with a trail of blood. Lilia notices a gold coin lying on the ground, and unable to resist, she walks over to pick it up. The moment she does, a teleportation trap activates, and the man reveals that they have fallen right into it. However, he did not realize that the trap would teleport him as well. A moment later, all of them are transported into another chamber with no visible exit. The man reveals that they were ordered to bring Aurel's group there because this is a place where advanced sword god warriors are waiting for them. The girls immediately become nervous. Moments later, a knight appears before them, and without hesitation, they attack him. The knight responds by unleashing a divine air slash, which they barely manage to dodge. He then charges straight at Aurel, and the two of them crash into a wall. Aurel is happy that he managed to learn the Guts ability because it allows him to block the knight's attacks while using only a small amount of his divine protection. After carefully analyzing the knight's techniques, Aurel realizes that he is facing a superior version of a sword god. He tells the girls that this is the perfect chance to test everything they have learned. Without hesitation, Aurel charges straight at the knight, leaving everyone completely stunned. The sword god immediately uses a skill called Divine Presence, which creates an overwhelming gravitational force throughout the area. The girls are forced to their knees, but Aurel remains completely unaffected. This is because his mother trained him under the effects of the same ability countless times, so he already knows how to resist it. Just as the knight is about to finish him off, Aurel throws the gold coin that Lilia picked up earlier, creating an opening before finishing the knight with a powerful thrust. After the battle, the girls ask Aurel how he knows so much about the sword god's abilities. They explain that despite living in the city for years, they have never even seen a sword god or anyone capable of using those techniques. Aurel calmly answers that it is because his mother is a sword god. Rina immediately becomes nervous and says that she never should have challenged the son of a sword god. Aurel simply tells her not to worry because his mother was right to keep her true strength hidden. Soon afterward, a portal opens, and everyone heads through it to leave the dungeon. Meanwhile, Rod is sitting alone in a bar, wondering if he really needs a second arm. At that moment, he overhears several people talking about how Aurel's group was trapped inside a sealed chamber. Rod immediately becomes furious after realizing that his daughter was inside. Just then, Georgie appears, and Rod instantly understands that he was behind everything. It is also revealed that Georgie was the one responsible for taking Rod's arm. Furious, Rod rushes toward him, but Georgie easily dodges the attack. At that exact moment, Aurel's group suddenly appears. Overjoyed to see his daughter alive, Rod immediately hugs Lilia. Meanwhile, Georgie is completely shocked that they survived because the chamber was specifically meant to ensure that the sword god would kill them all. Trying to hide his nervousness, Georgie says that he cannot believe they actually defeated a sword god. Aurel proudly replies that the opponent was only a little strong. Lilia then adds that the man who lured them into the trap confessed that Georgie was the one behind the entire plan. However, Georgie quickly defends himself by saying that anything that happens inside a dungeon is each person's own responsibility. After saying that, he simply walks away. Several hours later, Georgie is seen destroying everything inside his room, in anger because he cannot believe those kids survived. He had planned to become the strongest person in the city after Aurel's mother left, but now he has to deal with someone like Aurel, who does not even have a class. Filled with hatred, Georgie suddenly hears the voice of a sword surrounded by a dark aura. The sword tells him that it can grant all of his desires. The following day, Lilia is feeling depressed after seeing the preliminary tournament bracket. She realizes that she is in Aurel's group, making her believe that her dream of reaching the finals has been completely crushed. However, Aurel arrives and tells her that reaching the finals would have been difficult no matter what. His words encourage Lilia, and she declares that she will give everything she has to make it to the finals. She then tells everyone that they will train in another dungeon. Just then, Rod appears and warns Lilia to be extremely careful because they never know when Georgie might try another trap. After Lilia leaves, Rod tells Aurel and Rina that he needs to change and stop living as a drunk. A few days later, the preliminary matches of the tournament finally begin. Unfortunately, Lilia loses her match and becomes deeply discouraged. Aurel immediately goes to comfort her, but his words end up hurting her instead. Lilia then warns him that his next opponent is much stronger than anyone he has fought before, because she is a magic swordswoman. Soon, it is Aurel's turn to fight. As he steps into the arena, his opponent tells him not to make excuses if he loses. The battle begins, and she attacks Aurel with several fireballs. Aurel dodges every one of them and quickly closes the distance. However, she immediately defends herself with another fireball at close range. Aurel is impressed because she is capable of fighting effectively at both long and short range. Errol tells her that even though she possesses both abilities, she is still only an advanced fighter. His words make her furious, so she activates her flaming magic sword. She explains that she is about to use her special technique called Ultimate Blade, a skill that only magic swordsmen are capable of using. She then launches a relentless series of attacks, but Aurel blocks every single one of them with ease. Finally, Errol uses a wind technique that completely extinguishes his opponent's flames with his sword. He then rushes forward and knocks her out with a single blow, winning the match instantly. Several hours later, Lilia convinces her father to come watch Rina's match, because he is still struggling with the trauma of losing his arm. She reminds him that Rina was once his student, and after hearing that, Rod finally agrees to go with her to the Colosseum. Meanwhile, Rina is feeling extremely nervous. Just then, Aurel arrives and accidentally startles her. Rina admits that she is nervous, and Aurel asks if she is afraid that her first match in the tournament might be against him. Before they can continue talking, the announcer interrupts them and announces the opening match. The first fighters are revealed to be Georgie and Errol. As Georgie steps into the arena, everyone notices that he now has a much more demonic appearance. The moment Rod sees Georgie's sword, he immediately warns Aurel to stay away from it, because a powerful demon is sealed inside the weapon. Georgie says that he did not expect anyone to recognize the sword, allowing Rod to realize that the demon has already possessed him. Rod explains that the sword is legendary because it was once used by a sword god to defeat an evil demon filled with hatred. The demon then reveals that hundreds of years passed before Georgie finally broke the seal and released him. He introduces himself as Durgelda. Deeply worried, Rina tells Aurel that everyone learns about Durgelda in school because the demon was summoned by an evil god in ancient times. The moment the spectators hear the demon's name, they panic and try to escape. However, Durgelda creates a barrier that seals every exit. Confidently, he declares that he will kill everyone because there is no longer a sword god left who can defeat him. Aurel immediately tells the demon that he is completely mistaken because a sword god still exists. He also declares that he will personally destroy him. Aurel then activates a technique called Divine Step, greatly increasing his speed. The sudden burst of speed catches Durgelda off guard, and Aurel immediately begins attacking him. However, the demon proves to be incredibly durable because Georgie's body has already reached the level of a sword emperor. Believing the battle is over, Durgelda charges at Aurel and lands a direct hit with his sword. To the demon's surprise, Aurel is completely unharmed. Aurel explains that thanks to the Guts ability he learned from Rina, his body has become much tougher. He then activates Infinity Break and unleashes a rapid series of attacks against the demon. Durgelda finally begins taking damage and asks Errol if he is actually a sword god. Errol calmly replies that he is not before driving him back with a powerful thrust. As Errol approaches the wounded demon, he points out that Durgelda's divine protection has already been completely broken because of the injuries he sustained. The demon lies on the arena floor, desperately thinking of a way to avoid being sealed once again. He quickly decides that the only way to escape is to possess another body. At that moment, Durgelda notices Rod and decides that his body would be perfect. Suddenly, the cursed sword flies straight toward Lilia, and Rod immediately jumps in to protect her. In the next instant, Durgelda successfully possesses Rod's body and takes Lilia hostage. Errol regrets not realizing sooner that the demon's true body was actually the sword, and that he should have destroyed it first. Durgelda warns Errol not to make any reckless moves because Lilia will become his future wife. Errol immediately rejects that idea, but Durgelda says that he now possesses all of Rod's memories. According to those memories, Lilia often joked that Errol would become her husband someday. Hearing that, Aurel coldly says that he will simply defeat both of them because he does not care what happens to Lilia. Just as Aurel prepares to attack, Lilia bursts into tears. She apologizes to Errol and admits that it was only her own fantasy. Both Errol and Rina begin to pity the demon's misunderstanding. Arel also says that he has no intention of hurting Lilia. The demon mocks him, saying that he can kill Lilia whenever he wants. However, he suddenly stops moving. Rod has begun fighting the demon from inside his own mind. Lilia takes the opportunity to break free while Rod continues resisting Durgelda from within. Rod tells the demon that if he had possessed him a few days earlier, he probably would have taken complete control. But after meeting Arel and receiving the motivation to move forward again, Rod refuses to let himself be possessed. In the end, Rod successfully regains control of his body and throws the cursed sword toward Arel. Without hesitating for even a second, Arel shatters the sword into countless pieces, completely destroying Durgelda once and for all. Several weeks later, Rod is training enthusiastically with the many new members who have joined the guild. Meanwhile, a young man talks to Lilia and sadly says that Arel has left the guild. He also mentions that Rina has gone after him. In another scene, Arel travels by carriage back to his hometown. Ever since winning the Sword God Cup, he believes he has finally become strong enough to defeat his mother. Sometime later, while Farah is cutting a rose, she immediately senses Arel's presence. She suddenly appears right in front of him, making Arel realize that if she had been holding a real sword, he would already be dead. Without wasting any time, Farah instantly knows that Arel has come to challenge her, so the two head to a wide grassland. Excited, Farah tells him that she cannot wait to see how much stronger he has become. The duel begins as Farah rushes toward Arel, but he successfully blocks her attack. Arel immediately counters, yet, as expected, his mother blocks his strike as well. Farah says she is impressed because Arel has learned many new techniques. The battle continues, and their clashes are so powerful that people in the village can hear the impacts from far away. After exchanging several attacks, Farah activates Divine Presence, but it has no effect on Arel. At that moment, she realizes that she will have to fight him seriously. Meanwhile, Rina arrives in Arel's hometown looking for him. She eventually reaches Arel's house, where she is greeted by his little sister, who immediately jokes that Arel is not interested in cows like her. A short while later, Arel and Farah return home, both completely covered in dirt after their battle. It is then revealed that Arel managed to defeat his mother by a very small margin. The group then sits down together, and an excited Farah asks Rina how she and Arel met because she thinks the two of them look like a lovely couple. Rina immediately becomes embarrassed and explains that they simply belong to the same guild. Farah then asks why Rina came all the way to the village. Rina explains that Arel left the guild without saying goodbye to anyone, leaving behind only a farewell note. She also reveals that she comes from the same hometown and came to personally ask Farah if she could become her disciple. Their conversation is interrupted when Evans suddenly arrives. He says that everyone heard a huge explosion from the grasslands, not knowing that it was actually caused by the battle between Farah and Arel. To avoid explaining the truth, Farah casually says that they defeated a monster there. Evans then notices that his daughter is present. Farah immediately teases him by saying that Rina came because she wants to learn how to become a wonderful wife. Evans bursts into tears of happiness, while Rina becomes extremely embarrassed. Rina quickly explains that she only wants to become a better swordswoman, but Farah playfully says that she can teach her both swordsmanship and how to be an excellent wife. Evans starts crying with joy again because after his wife passed away, he was only able to teach Rina swordsmanship. He hopes that Farah can teach her household skills as well. Farah happily goes along with the joke and promises to turn Rina into a true lady. A little later, Arel visits his father Leon, who is busy researching magic. Leon congratulates Arel because he already heard from his office that Arel had brought a girl home. Arel proudly tells his father that he finally defeated his mother in a duel and asks Leon to teach him magic. However, Leon refuses immediately. Meanwhile, Farah is teaching Rina how to cook. Unfortunately, it turns into a complete disaster because Rina breaks the table just trying to cut a single vegetable. During the lesson, Rina asks about Arel's older sister because she has not seen her anywhere. Farah explains that she left home because she wanted to become stronger and create a better world for Arel. Sometime later, Arel and Leon are cleaning up the mess that Rina caused. Since Arel wants to see his father use magic, Leon repairs a broken cup with a spell. As they continue putting away the tools, Leon tells Arel that he should give up on learning magic because not everyone has enough mana to use it. He explains that someone without mana or without a magic class would find it extremely difficult to cast spells. Arel replies that it is not completely impossible. Leon then opens a chest containing all the swords Arel used during his childhood. After explaining his reasoning, Leon says that Arel most likely has no mana because otherwise he would have been born with the mage class and its blessing. However, Arel confidently insists that he does have plenty of mana. He remembers that while Rina was hitting him every day during their training at the guild, he constantly had to drink blessed potions to restore his divine protection. Since Lilia kept scolding him for spending so much money on potions, Arel eventually found several old bottles filled with an unknown liquid. Without knowing what they contained, he drank them all. Arel tells his father that right after drinking the mysterious liquid, he felt as if something inside him had returned, and he is certain it was not his divine protection. Leon immediately realizes that Arel may have actually restored his mana. If that is true, he will finally be able to teach his son how to use magic. Leon is overjoyed because all this time he secretly felt jealous that only Pharaoh was able to teach Arel swordsmanship. Leon then tells Arel that if he can still feel that strange energy inside his body, he should try moving it around. Arel concentrates and successfully creates a small ball of magic in the palm of his hand. However, the effort completely drains his energy. Even so, Leon is amazed because that single test is enough to prove that Arel truly possesses mana. He explains that Arel must increase his mana by using it repeatedly, just like training a muscle. The next day, Arel goes to a shop and buys every mana potion available. Over the following days, he dedicates himself to training his magic. After several days of practice, Leon congratulates him because Arel now possesses as much mana as an ordinary person who has already received the goddess's blessing. Leon also gives him several books containing different spells and explains that Arel must memorize them if he wants to learn magic. He adds that if Arel hopes to study at the Magic Academy in the City of Magic, he must first reach the required level. Hearing that makes Arel even more excited. Later that day, everyone gathers for dinner. Farah happily says that Rina has improved not only as a swordswoman, but also as a future wife because she prepared the entire meal they are eating. At the end of dinner, Leon casts a spell, making Arel even more determined to learn magic as soon as possible. The story then jumps forward 3 years. Farah praises Rina because she has become an excellent cook. At that moment, Arel's sister comes in crying after finding a letter on Arel's bed. The letter says that he has already left for the City of Magic. Farah becomes very sad because first Astaire left, and now Arel has left as well. She hugs Rina and says that she hopes Rina will not leave them too. Rina promises that she will stay because she still has many things to learn. In another scene, Arel is traveling by carriage toward the City of Magic. After asking the driver how much farther they have to go, the driver replies that they will arrive in about 2 days. During the journey, several other young travelers are heading to the academy as well. Arel meets a boy named Kaito, a blue-haired girl named Kufa, and another student named Cole. Kaito and Kufa start arguing while making fun of Arel because they think he is too old to be entering the academy and assume that he has failed the entrance exam many times. A little later, Kaito asks Arel what type of magic he uses. Arel remembers his father explaining that each color represents a different type of magic. After thinking for a moment, he simply tells them that he does not even have a class. He then shows them the proof that confirms he is classless. Just then, a loud roar echoes through the area. The carriage suddenly comes to a stop, and Arel immediately guesses that it sounds like a troll king, because all of the horses have fainted. The others nervously believe they can defeat an ordinary troll, but a troll suddenly appears, only to be struck aside by the far more terrifying Troll King. Terrified, everyone believes they are about to die. Kaito attacks the monster with his magic, but it has no effect at all. Just as the Troll King prepares to attack them, Arel casts an incredibly powerful fire spell that instantly burns the monster to ashes. Arel casually remarks that he may have overdone it a little. The others are left completely stunned because the spell he used is supreme level red magic. Arel then heals the horses, and the carriage driver thanks him once again. Kaito immediately kneels before Arel, apologizing because he had no idea that Arel was such a powerful master. He and the others ask Arel to become their teacher, but Arel simply replies that he is nothing more than a classless person. 2 days later, they finally arrive at the City of Magic. As they enter the city, Kaito explains that the academy is divided into different sections according to each type of magic. They also notice that students' hair colors match their magic. Since Kaito uses fire magic, he has red hair. Likewise, Cole uses green magic and has green hair, while Kufa's hair also matches the type of magic she uses. Finally, as they prepare to take the academy's entrance exam, Arel quietly hopes that he will not be rejected the same way he was in the City of Swords. A little later, Kaito and Arel arrive at the reception desk. Unlike the City of Swords, everyone here has the right to take the entrance exam, so Arel is accepted without any problems. They soon arrive at the testing area, where another student is demonstrating a fireball spell. Just then, an arrogant boy arrives and proudly declares that he possesses advanced magic. At such a young age, Kaito explains to Arel that only true prodigies are blessed with an advanced class from the very beginning. The boy introduces himself as Royce. He unleashes a powerful fire spell that strikes the mithril knight used for the examination. Kaito confidently tells everyone that Arel is much stronger than Royce, but Royce boasts that his flames are so powerful they can even melt solid metal. However, Arel points out that Royce's attack did not actually do much damage to the knight. The examiner explains that the knight is made of mithril from the yellow magic school, so it cannot be melted that easily. Soon, it is Arel's turn. He says that it is his first time casting a spell against a mithril knight, so this is his only chance to give everything he has and earn admission. He immediately casts a spell called Eruption, creating a thin line of fire across the mithril knight. Royce laughs, believing that the spell accomplished nothing. However, he is left completely speechless when the mithril knight begins melting. Excited, Kaito says that he hopes to learn all of those techniques from his master. After passing the first test, Arel says he is going to take his second entrance exam. He soon meets Kufa, who has already passed the water magic examination. It is then revealed that Arel registered for several different magic schools at the same time. When his turn comes, Arel summons several ice crystals that strike and completely destroy the mithril knight, leaving everyone in shock. After finishing that test, Arel says that he is heading to the green magic school. When he arrives, he finds Colette standing outside in tears because she is too nervous to enter. After talking with her for a while, Arel manages to calm her down. Colette explains that to pass the exam, they only need to cast a wind spell that spins a windmill. However, when Arel performs the spell, he accidentally destroys the entire windmill. Colette is stunned by Arel's incredible power. Before leaving, Arel quietly gives her a little help without anyone noticing. Over the next several hours, Arel visits the rest of the magic schools. The only one left is the Black Magic School. When he enters, he finds the place in complete chaos. There, he meets a rather eccentric girl who is happily hugging a small chimera that she created herself. A skeleton suddenly appears, and Arel mistakes it for a monster, so he immediately slashes its head. The skeleton quickly scolds him and tells him not to attack people without thinking. He also explains that everyone is welcome at the Black Magic School and that there is no entrance exam because very few people choose to study there. Later, while walking through the city, Arel runs into the others. They immediately begin arguing because each of them wants Arel to join their own magic school. However, Arel tells them that he is not going to choose just one because he plans to attend all 6 magic schools at the same time. His answer leaves everyone completely shocked. A few days later, Arel meets with the others and tells them that he was accepted into every magic school. Kufa warns him that this could become a problem because many important lessons are not written in the textbooks. Students have to take notes during class instead. Arel asks if they would be willing to share their notes with him, and everyone kindly agrees. He also explains that after reading each school's curriculum, he learned that attendance only counts for 20% of the final grade, meaning he can still pass simply by doing well on the exams. Finally, Arel points out that the Black Magic School mainly focuses on self-study, so he only has to worry about attending the other schools regularly. Not long afterward, Kaito and Arel head to class. Royce is shocked when he asks the teacher about Arel's class and learns that Arel does not have one. During the lesson, Arel quickly becomes bored because the teacher is only covering the basics of magic, all of which he had already learned from his father. The following day, Arel attends the wind magic class. He explains that after trying every type of magic, none of them really caught his interest. The only thing that truly fascinates him is using wind magic to fly. He remembers asking his father about it before, but Leon admitted that he was afraid of heights. The teacher explains the exercise, and the students immediately begin practicing flight. Colette successfully manages to fly for a moment, but quickly falls back to the ground because flying is a technique that requires constant practice to master. Arel tries to copy the technique, but instead he accidentally creates a tornado that launches him high into the air. After Arel lands, a very confident student approaches them and says that he specializes in flight magic. He then demonstrates his skills by flying like a professional. He even reveals that he has won several flying competitions. Since the next race will be held in 2 months, he tells Arel to train first and challenge him next year instead. After saying that, he leaves. Arel then tells Colette that 2 months is more than enough time for him to learn how to fly. Several weeks later, it is nighttime, and the students are nervously walking through the academy's hallway because rumors have spread about a ghost. Suddenly, a shadow appears outside the window and immediately grabs Cole. However, it turns out to be Errol. During the nights, he has been secretly practicing his flight magic. The others finally realize that Errol spends countless hours training outside of class. While everyone else is asleep, he continues improving himself. His incredible discipline inspires the others, and they decide to work much harder from then on. The next day, Arel is sitting in class when he notices a mistake in one of the spells written by the teacher and corrects it. Kaito is amazed because Arel has memorized every spell. Since Arel explains that spells can be compressed into a more efficient form, the teacher asks him to write his version on the board. After reading Arel's explanation, the teacher realizes that he has an exceptional understanding of magic. He then offers Arel the chance to take an examination to see if he qualifies for promotion to the 2nd grade. Royce immediately says that he wants to take the same examination. They are then taken to a training area where a gate will open, releasing monsters. If the examinee can stop the monsters without allowing them to get close, they automatically pass the test. Royce volunteers to go first. As soon as he enters the arena, the gate opens and a minotaur charges straight toward him. Royce repeatedly uses eruption, but every attack misses, causing him to fail the examination. The teacher reassures him that there is nothing to be ashamed of because most students need at least 2 years of study before they can pass that test. Next, it is Errol's turn. The teacher explains that they will use another minotaur of the same type. However, after the gate opens, a completely different monster emerges. A female staff member rushes over and tells the teacher that a serious mistake has occurred because the examinations were mixed up, and they accidentally released a superior minotaur instead. The monster immediately charges toward Arel. He creates 2 fire spears and launches them at the creature. However, because of the monster's high level, it easily dodges the attack. Worried that Arel will get hurt, the teacher says he is going to step in. Arel refuses his help. Suddenly, the 2 fire spears change direction in midair and strike the monster from behind, knocking it to the ground. Arel then finishes it off with eruption. The teacher is left speechless because that monster is normally used only in advanced examinations for elite students. He begins to think that there must have been some mistake when Arel was not assigned a class. Errol walks over to him, and the teacher announces that he has passed the examination and has officially been promoted to the 2nd grade. Several hours later, Arel tells the others about his results. He also says that he plans to take the same promotion examination in every other magic school. Meanwhile, Rina continues learning household skills from Farah. As they talk about Errol, they both agree that he always works incredibly hard to achieve every goal he sets for himself. Back at the academy, Arel finds Kufa begging her teacher to allow her to take the promotion examination. However, the teacher refuses. Seeing this, Arel tells the teacher that her lessons are no longer at his level. His comment hurts her pride, and she immediately declares that she will personally judge his abilities. Soon afterward, the 2 of them arrive at a training field. The students watching from the sidelines become nervous because their teacher is only 1 step away from becoming an archmage, one of the highest classes a mage can achieve. The teacher then tells Arel that all he has to do is break through her divine protection. If he can do that, she will acknowledge his strength and personally authorize him to take the promotion examination for the next rank. The teacher immediately casts a powerful ice spell that completely freezes Arel, or at least that is what she believes. To her surprise, Arel easily shatters the ice. He then summons several ice crystals, but the teacher creates her own crystals and blocks the attack without difficulty. Arel casts the spell again, and the teacher confidently tells him that he will need much more than that if he wants to defeat her. In response, Arel creates hundreds of ice crystals that begin surrounding her. The teacher is shocked because controlling that many crystals at once is extremely difficult. She quickly raises an ice barrier and becomes nervous, believing that the more crystals Arel creates, the weaker each one should become. However, the exact opposite happens. Every crystal strikes with incredible power, forcing the teacher to strengthen her barrier more and more. Finally, Arel says it is time for his last attack. He creates a gigantic ice crystal above her head and sends it crashing down. Even though she summons another ice barrier, she is unable to stop the attack and is defeated. Sometime later, RL tells the others that he successfully passed his promotion exam. He also says that his next goal is to earn a promotion at the Green Magic School. When he arrives at the reception desk, he is told that the only person who can personally approve his promotion is the headmaster. Unfortunately, the headmaster is busy in meetings and cannot see any students. Just then, Colette comes up with an idea. The group heads to the annual flying tournament because the winner is always honored by the headmaster. Errol realizes that this is the perfect opportunity to demonstrate his flying skills. He also tells Colette that the reason he is so eager to master every type of magic is because he wants to return home. He still has unfinished business with someone, clearly referring to Rina. Their conversation is interrupted when a proud young man approaches RL. He introduces himself as Eski and confidently declares that he has already secured victory. RL calmly replies that no matter what Eski says, he will be the one who wins the race. A little later, the announcer explains the course and introduces the special guests, including the Academy's headmaster and another instructor named Dumbbell. Dumbbell is so famous that many of the girls become extremely excited just from seeing him. The race finally begins, with hundreds of participants taking off at once. After several minutes, the announcer reveals that only 15 racers remain in the lead, and Errol is among them. The course includes a sharp turn immediately after passing through a gate, causing several competitors to crash. Eski is surprised because Arel is still keeping up with him. Soon, another female competitor takes the lead, but both Arel and Eski quickly accelerate, turning the race into a close battle between the three of them. The girl cannot believe that two first-year students are matching her speed, so she pushes herself even harder. Eventually, Eski runs out of mana and becomes frustrated because he realizes that he will not be able to win this year's race. Arel catches up to the leading girl, and after realizing that she is flying at his level, he accelerates even more. Since he only had 2 months to prepare, he combines wind magic with jumping movements to propel himself forward. Dumbbell and the announcer are both astonished because the technique combines wind magic with the skills of a supreme swordsman. Arel silently agrees with their observation, but he believes he is actually using a technique from a celestial swordsman instead. As they approach the final stretch, the racers face an extremely sharp corner. The girl is forced to slow down to avoid crashing. Meanwhile, Arel maintains his speed and uses wind magic through his hands to turn the corner smoothly without losing momentum, allowing him to win the race. The girl congratulates Arel, saying that he is incredibly talented for someone competing for the first time. Soon afterward, the headmaster presents Arel with the winner's certificate. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Arel politely asks to be promoted to the 2nd grade. The headmaster agrees, saying that Arel has demonstrated exceptional ability and deserves the promotion. He also congratulates him on winning despite being only a first-year student. Arel is delighted because he has now reached 2nd grade in 3 of the 6 magic schools. A few days later, Errol visits another magic school and asks for a chance to take its promotion examination. However, the receptionist tells him that the registration period has already ended. The news greatly disappoints him. After Arel casually mentions that he can create a golem, a professor named Arwell suddenly appears. Arwell tells Arel that if he becomes his assistant, he will be allowed to take the promotion examination. Arel is thrilled by the offer and immediately accepts. After leaving, one of the students warns Arel that this may not be a good idea because Werel is a true expert in golems. Every year, he humiliates his students by crushing them with the golems he creates. Instead of being discouraged, Arel becomes even more motivated and asks to be officially registered as Rel's assistant. Several days later, the presentation of the professors and their assistants begins. Everyone in the audience becomes nervous because, as expected, Rel is well known for completely humiliating his own students with the powerful golems he builds. Next, it is Rel's turn to present his golems. He summons several earth golems, but he is stunned when Arel brings out a golem wearing metal armor. Arel explains that he created it by combining alchemy with earth magic. Since Well does not believe Arel built it himself, he removes the golem's helmet because he thinks someone must be hiding inside. However, after seeing that it is completely empty, he assumes that the golem's light armor must mean it has poor durability. The battle between Rel's golem and Errol's golem begins. However, Arel's golem proves to be incredibly durable and easily breaks one of its opponent's arms. Realizing that he can no longer hold back, Realize strengthens his own golems and sends all 4 of them to attack at once. In response, Arel's golem draws 2 swords and destroys all 4 enemy golems with a single strike. Rel is completely amazed. Arel then asks if he has finally passed the examination. Arel replies that he has, and even invites Arel to become his research partner. Several hours later, Arel meets a girl named Katie, who introduces herself as the examiner for his practical test. She explains that although she is blind, she can see through the mana of other people. After examining Arel's mana, she is shocked to discover that he possesses seemingly infinite mana. She becomes nervous and comments that controlling so many different types of magic should be almost impossible. A little later, the two travel to the ruins of the ancient fallen empire, where the practical examination takes place. Katie explains that the mana accumulated there over countless years created a dungeon filled with undead monsters. After entering the ruins and defeating several undead creatures, Side simply tells Arel that he has already passed, because surviving the dungeon was the entire test. At that moment, a superior undead suddenly appears. As expected, Arel defeats it with ease. While leaving the ruins, Side says she is amazed because several of the spells Arel used belong to holy magic, which normally can only be used by a holy exorcist. Arel then says that there is now only one magic school left for him to complete. Soon afterward, Arel returns to the Black Magic School. While talking with the skeleton teacher, he learns that there has not been a promotion exam for a very long time, because the system collapsed due to the lack of students. Arel notices a special door and asks what it is for. The skeleton explains that it is used to test black magic spells because they can be extremely dangerous. Arel enters the room and opens a grimoire. The moment he does, dark magic pours out of the book, and a demon emerges. The demon thanks Arel because no student has bothered to open the grimoire for a very long time. He introduces himself as Mastima. Mastima immediately decides that he needs a human body to escape and chooses Arel as his sacrifice. Arel prepares to attack, but soon realizes that he is standing inside a magic circle that seals all of his powers. The only thing he can use to fight is a special object in his hand. The demon mocks Arel, saying that mages do not know how to fight in close combat. However, Arel immediately strikes him with the object. He quickly realizes that it possesses a special holy power, so he repeatedly attacks Mastima without stopping. The endless barrage of blows gradually weakens the demon. Arel also notices something interesting. As Mastima grows weaker, his body keeps shrinking. After taking countless hits, the once fearsome demon has become tiny. Mastima immediately begs Arel to spare his life, and Arel agrees without hesitation. However, Arel casts a slave contract spell on him so he can keep the demon under control. If Mastima ever becomes rebellious again, Arel will be able to punish him using magic. A little later, Arel's friends congratulate him for passing every promotion examination. They also begin playing with Mastima, who has now become nothing more than Arel's tiny pet. Meanwhile, the headmasters of the different magic schools gather for a meeting to discuss their budgets. Because the Black Magic School has so few students, its funding has been drastically reduced. This greatly angers the headmaster of the Black Magic School. Finally, the administrator announces that an inter-school tournament will soon be held. Depending on each school's performance, the winning schools may receive a larger budget. After the meeting ends, the administrator wishes the Black Magic School's headmaster good luck and promises that if his school wins, it will receive the funding needed for its research. Even after hearing those words, the headmaster remains furious because the future of his entire school now depends on winning a single tournament. Back with Arel, he walks through the academy with his friends while they talk about an upcoming Archmage tournament. While speaking with Mastima, Arel mentions that all of the professors have invited him to a meeting because, as the academy's top student, every headmaster wants him to join their school. Later that night, the headmaster of the Black Magic School performs a mysterious ritual. He summons a demonic creature, believing that no one will ever look down on his school again. However, the demon suddenly turns on him and begins slowly absorbing him. The following morning, Mastima wakes Arel up, and Arel says that he dreamed about his previous school life. Sometime later, the headmasters of the different magic schools gather, and notice that the Black Magic School's headmaster is missing. Just then, Arel arrives, but before anyone can say anything, a massive explosion echoes through the academy. Meanwhile, the students witness a gigantic demon approaching the campus. Panic spreads immediately as everyone begins running for their lives. While Arel and the headmasters rush toward the scene, several students desperately try to fight the demon, but their attacks have no effect because the creature is far too powerful. Just as they accept that they are about to die, Aurel arrives to save them. The headmasters also reach the battlefield and order all of the students to retreat to safety. After observing the battle, they realize that the demon is completely immune to magic. The teachers unleash countless spells, but none of them work. One of them traps the demon with earth magic for a moment, but they soon discover that the creature actually absorbs any magic used against it, causing it to grow even larger. After breaking free, the demon continues advancing. Watching everything unfold, Aurel realizes that he knows exactly how to defeat it because he had read about this type of demon in Leon's books. At the same time, he realizes that there is nothing more the Academy can teach him. He explains that the demon can absorb almost anything to increase its size, so the only way to defeat it is with overwhelming physical power using a sword. The demon laughs because it only remembers Aurel fighting with magic. However, everyone knows that Aurel was personally trained by Farah, the sword god. Without hesitation, Aurel leaps into the air and crashes down onto the demon with a powerful lightning-infused sword strike. The attack briefly stops the monster, and the teachers arrive in shock. They assume that Aurel must be a magic swordsman, but Aurel calmly replies that he is simply classless. The demon then heads toward the town hall where the students have gathered, because it is attracted to their mana. Aurel tells Mastima to let him think, threatening to feed him to the demon if he keeps talking. Since Mastima refuses to stay quiet, Aurel traps him inside an earth prison using earth magic. Aurel then summons his golems and launches countless magical bursts at the demon all at once. The headmasters are stunned because they still cannot believe that someone without a class can use so many different abilities. However, the attacks fail to injure the demon. Seeing this, Mastima believes that Aurel has finally run out of options. Instead, Aurel reveals his final trump card. He summons all 6 types of magic and merges them into a single spell. The technique is incredibly unstable, and even the smallest mistake could completely destroy the entire city. Realizing the danger, the students and the headmasters all lend Aurel their own magic. With everyone's support, Aurel unleashes the completed spell, completely annihilating the demon and reducing it to nothing. Mastima is left trembling in fear. Even as a demon king, he cannot believe what he has just witnessed. After the battle, Aurel lands on the ground and every headmaster is left speechless. One of them explains that the spell Aurel used is known as annihilation magic, a technique that only supreme class divine mages are capable of casting. Aurel simply replies that he is nothing more than a classless person who learned everything from his parents. The headmasters are shocked to learn that he is the son of Leon and Farah. They ask him how someone can become a divine mage. Aurel explains that the key is mastering every type of magic to the highest level. This answer leaves everyone stunned, because they had always believed that becoming a divine mage required specializing in only one type of magic. However, when they turn to ask Aurel another question, they discover that he has already disappeared. Later, Aurel returns to the place where the demon was destroyed. There, he finds a tiny fragment of the demon that survived. Mastima immediately tells him to finish it off, but Aurel says that he has a better idea. The demon has become nothing more than a helpless slime, so Aurel decides to take it home instead. He says that he will make it his familiar and use it as his own personal trash bin because it is now too weak to be dangerous. He even gives it the name Plo, making it another one of his familiars alongside Mastima. A short while later, Aurel's friends rush in and beg him not to leave the city because they heard the headmasters talking about making him a professor at the academy. Aurel confirms that he is going back home first. After that, he plans to travel to the City of Monsters because he wants to continue training and learn more about Ploe. His friends look at the tiny slime and cannot help thinking that it is surprisingly cute and harmless. In the final scene, the headmasters are saddened by Aurel's decision to leave the academy. At the same time, the ghost of the Black Magic School quietly appears, sitting nearby as the scene comes to an end. One of the headmasters is startled when he sees the ghost, but the ghost calmly says that if Aurel leaves, they should simply raise another divine mage. He explains that the slime demon only consumed his physical body. Finally, he adds that it is essential for the 6 magic schools to work together if they want to create another divine mage. A few days later, Aurel says goodbye to his friends and begins his journey back home. However, as he leaves the City of Magic, a mysterious girl quietly watches him from a distance. In another scene, the mysterious girl reports Aurel's movements to someone else. She explains that one of Kurea's subordinates saw Aurel leaving the City of Magic. The mysterious person orders her to make sure they stay one step ahead of him. Meanwhile, Aurel continues traveling home with Mastima. He mentions that it has been about a year since he last returned to his village. Mastema is shocked after learning that Errol's mother is the Sword Queen and his father is a supreme sorcerer. After several hours of traveling, Errol arrives at a village where they decide to spend the night. Later that evening, Arel, Mastema, and Plo are relaxing in a hot spring when a young woman casually enters without caring that Arel is already there. After getting into the water, she starts talking with him. Mastema quietly warns Errol that she does not seem like an ordinary girl. The woman asks Errol why he is traveling. Errol simply replies that he wants to find out how strong he can become despite being classless. She assumes that people must constantly make fun of him because he has no class. She then tells him that he should come to her empire because no one there mocks classless people. According to her, the emperor has forbidden that kind of discrimination. Errol thinks it sounds like a wonderful place to live, but he politely refuses because he has an important reason for returning to the village where he was born. After saying that, he leaves the hot spring. Later, while they are eating dinner, Mastema asks Arel once again if he truly plans to reject the woman's offer. Arel answers that he does because he has already decided to return home. The following morning, Arel leaves the inn and meets the same woman again. She introduces herself as Shinobi, one of the 8 generals of the empire, and one of the princesses of Kureya. She tells Arel that the empress has ordered him to go with her. As expected, Arel refuses. Shinobi tells him that an imperial order cannot be rejected. Arel calmly replies that he has nothing to do with the empress and refuses to go with her. Shinobi then reveals that the empress has been searching for a classless person named Arel for a very long time. After realizing that Arel has no intention of accepting the invitation, Shinobi suddenly attacks him from behind at incredible speed. However, Arel instantly dodges the attack and counters with a powerful kick that sends her flying. Arel then tells the others hiding nearby to come out because he sensed their presence from the very beginning. Several hooded figures immediately appear, all of them shocked that Errol detected them despite using a technique that makes them almost impossible to notice. Shinobi quickly returns, and one of the masked women removes her mask and begins healing her. Shinobi orders everyone to focus on capturing Arel because that is their only priority. Meanwhile, several more women arrive as reinforcements to help capture Errol. However, when they reach the battlefield, they discover that Errol has already defeated everyone. Arel then steps out from behind a group of bushes together with Mastema. The newly arrived women assume that he looks like nothing more than an ordinary young man. At that moment, another of the 8 generals appears. She is a green-haired dragon princess named Dora. Alongside her is the beast queen Turga. Both of them want to bring Arel back to the Empress because whoever succeeds first will receive a huge reward. Errol calmly tells them that they are free to attack him at the same time, and that they should use their strongest abilities. Without hesitation, both women attack Arel at the same time, but as expected, they are easily defeated. Arel confidently says that neither of them used any particularly interesting abilities. Mastema then tells him that it is about time he realized that he possesses superhuman abilities. While Arel is talking with Mastema, he wonders why the Empress wants to meet him. At that moment, Shinobi regains consciousness and tells Arel that, although he is incredibly strong, he still would not be able to defeat the Empress. Her words immediately spark Arel's curiosity, and he decides that he will go meet the Empress himself. After a long journey, Arel arrives at the Imperial Castle, where he is welcomed by a woman named Rihanna, another of the 8 generals. He also meets the Soul Queen, Bergia, along with Fina and Kina. As usual, Arel calmly tells all of them that they can attack him with their strongest abilities. However, after witnessing Arel's strength, Mastema advises them to surrender instead. Meanwhile, the Empress asks one of her attendants whether Errol has arrived yet. The attendant replies that he is very close. Just then, one of the generals is suddenly knocked unconscious. Moments later, Arel arrives, leaving another general completely shocked after defeating about 4 of them with ease. Always in a hurry, Arel immediately asks where the Empress is. Before anyone can answer, the woman guarding the throne steps forward and introduces herself as General Hernella. Suddenly, the Empress rushes over and hugs Errol. To his complete surprise, she is revealed to be Saire, Arel's older sister who left home years ago. Confused, Arel asks why she is sitting on the imperial throne. Saire explains that she is simply fulfilling the promise she made long ago, to become strong enough to protect him and to build a nation where classless people would never face discrimination. Saire even says that she plans to invite their parents to live with them so the whole family can be together again. However, Aurel politely refuses because he still has many goals he wants to achieve. He explains that he is obsessed with learning new abilities. Even though he has no class, he possesses the talent to perfectly master anything he sees. He also tells her that his journey has allowed him to meet many wonderful people who helped him grow as a person. Sire understands his feelings. She tells him that he is truly matured and agrees to let him continue pursuing his own path. Aurel thanks her for understanding and prepares to leave. However, Sire suddenly stops him by activating a powerful ability called Heavenly Command. This skill allows her to force people to obey her commands. After activating it, she tells Aurel to look at her and immediately orders him to marry her. Everyone in the room is left completely speechless because they never imagined that Sire wanted Aurel to fulfill her own personal fantasy. Believing that she has completely controlled him, Sire moves in to kiss him. Instead, Aurel suddenly kicks her away. Sire cannot understand why her ability failed. Aurel explains that he figured out how her skill worked from the very beginning. The moment she activated it and started speaking, he felt something strange. He quickly realized that the ability only works if the target can hear her voice, so he used wind magic to block his hearing. Sire starts crying, and Aurel jokingly asks if she recruited all 8 generals using that same ability. The generals immediately defend her, explaining that they followed her because they truly believed in her noble cause. Aurel realizes that his older sister has also matured. Satisfied, he says goodbye and leaves the imperial palace. Just when it seems like Sire is about to fall into despair, she suddenly jumps back to her feet full of excitement. She convinces herself that if Aurel worries about her, then it must mean he loves her. She then declares that she will become even stronger before going to find him again. The following day, Aurel finally returns to his childhood home, where his mother Farah greets him with a warm hug. She is overjoyed to see him back. Soon afterward, his little sister Mira arrives, and Aurel is happy to see how much she has grown. Slightly upset, Mira tells him never to disappear for an entire year again, because she missed him terribly. When Mira notices Mastima, she treats him like a stuffed toy. Aurel laughs and tells her that she can keep playing with Mastima and Plo whenever she wants. Later, Aurel tells Farah that he found their older sister making his mother extremely happy. That night, while Aurel is writing a letter, Reyna arrives and says that she wants to talk with him. Aurel also asks how her training with Farah has been going after spending an entire year under her guidance. The two spend the evening talking about all of Aurel's adventures. The following morning, Mira suddenly rushes over while holding a letter, looking extremely worried. Mira reveals that Aurel has left home once again. Already used to this kind of thing, Reyna simply says that it is perfectly normal for Aurel to set off on another journey. In the final scene, Aurel is seen flying through the sky while remembering all of the wonderful moments he shared with the new friends he met along the way. He also says that he cannot wait to discover even more abilities and continue growing stronger through his travels.